I mentioned what Chip Kelly was doing in Philadelphia, that he doesn't need a running quarterback as much as he needs a quarterback to run his offense. And there's a difference there, obviously. The philosophy, the style. He just wants to squeeze off plays. I want you up there with New England and Denver squeezing off the most plays you can. And you need somebody in there who understands what he wants to do when he wants to do it. Is Michael Vick that guy? Could Matt Barkley be that guy? But Paul Domowitch, he covers the NFL, the Philadelphia Daily News, NFL columnist. He joins us now. What do you think of this draft pick, Paul?
Well, I was surprised, Dan. You had mentioned the fact that Chip and his need for, or the assumption that he wanted a running quarterback. And, he has said all along that he wants a guy that can throw first, and that, the mobility was just an added plus. And not many of us believed that until he drafted Matt Barkley. And then suddenly you realize, you don't spend a fourth-round pick on Barkley rather than, say, Ryan Nassib, unless you're serious about because obviously Barkley is not going to run for a lot of yards and is not going to run the read option for him.
Well, what's this mean for Michael Vick, Nick Foles?
I think it's going to be an open competition. I think it probably bodes better for Nick Foles because it proves that, the assumption with Nick has been that he was kind of a dead quarterback walking here because of the fact that he has no mobility and that he didn't seem to fit into a Chip Kelly offense. Well, the fact that he drafted Barkley indicates that he's going to put the best quarterback he has out on that field in September. So I think, right now, I think the guy that's up against it is Vick, because one of the things that Chip will not tolerate, that he wants out of a quarterback, is a guy that's not going to turn the ball over. And of Foles, who finished fifth in the league in completion in interception percentage last year, and Barkley and Vick, Vick's the one that has the history of fumbles, history of interceptions his last 2 years with the Eagles. So I think Vick's going to have to prove that he won't turn the ball over to win that job this summer.
It's going to be difficult, I think, for him because you bring out the great point. I had a problem with his decision-making. He held on the ball way too long, and then when he did do something with it, seemed to force it or leave it exposed, and that's just something Chip Kelly's not going to stand for. That's where I looked at Barkley, and he's probably going to say, we got running backs, we got some great wide receivers. Let's take advantage of this offense, and why can't we have an offense that's as good, if not better, than the New England Patriots?
Yeah, and you had mentioned, Dan, the up-tempo, which is the key with Chip more so than obviously now the mobile quarterback. Michael, in the time I've watched him with the Eagles, they've tried. When Andy was here, they tried the no huddle off and on, and it's not his strength. Like you said, he hangs on to the ball, prefers to ad lib more than with Chip. He wants that ball out in a second and a half. And that is not Michael's strength. He's got a terrific arm, but the quick decisions, finding that receiver and getting it to him, he's not terribly accurate. I think both Foles and Barkley are going to have the advantage on him in that department. So it's really going to be interesting.
How'd this go over fan-wise?
The Barkley pick seemed to go pretty well. The reviews of the entire draft have been very positive from the fans and from the talk shows. They stuck to their board. They didn't reach. Much has been made of their drafts in 2010 and 2011, which produced almost nothing. Those drafts, they felt they were close to winning a Super Bowl at that point. They felt a sense of urgency, and they started doing some reaching for particular positions that they felt would put them over the top. In 2011, a perfect example was Jaquan Jarrett, a safety they took out of Temple in the second round, projected fourth-rounder. They ended up cutting him a year later. Those were the kind of picks they made in those two drafts. This draft, they set up their board and stayed with it, from Lane Johnson all the way down to their final pick.
Not fair to ask you, but I'll ask you because it makes for good radio. The starting quarterback of the Eagles Week 1 will be who, Paul?
Well, I put a starting lineup in the paper yesterday, and it's Nick Foles right now.
All right. Hey, good to visit with you. We'll check in with you again. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Dan. Take care.
Paul
Thanks, guys.
Domowitch, Philadelphia Daily News.